Welcome, everyone. I think we'll call this meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Stacy, would you lead us tonight?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's an open meeting, and it's also available in pamphlet form. Call roll.
Norman.
Here.
Dean.
Here.
Mayor Phillips.
Here.
Toplasian.
Here.
Grant.
Yes, here.
Edmund.
Yep. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Those have to be split up.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Motion amended. Like amended
I
motion
need to
text.
get to the dates.
Yeah.
Approval, I make a motion to approve the minutes for April 23rd, 2024 and May 7th, 2024. Does that work?
Motion's been
No.
amended. Do I have a second?
It has, they have to be different
Set
votes
different.
because April and I have to abstain because we weren't at the 23rd meeting.
Okay.
So we either
May
abstain
7th, maybe.
or May 7th. Yeah.
So a motion to approve April 23rd meeting,
I'll make a
2024.
motion to approve the April 23rd, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call roll.
Norman.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Toplasian.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve May 7th special meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the May 7th special meeting.
I'll second.
Norman.
Yes.
Toplasian.
Yes.
Dean.
Abstain.
Grant.
Abstain.
Yes. Reports. Golf, Mr. Norman.
Nothing at this time.
Park, Mr. Norman.
Scott.
Alright, sandblasting at the pool's been done. It's pretty much completely ready to go. We're gonna start acid washing probably tomorrow afternoon with the pool, and then from that point on, we'll be ready to start doing primer and paint down there. So hopefully, weather permitting, we will have a good week in here where we can get the paint and primer done. And then the pool should be ready to go as far as filling it with water. And then we're gonna work on getting the boiler back online. So that is good. During the park board meeting, we talked about going in to Peabody Hale to clean up the backside, which the park board approved, for Tony and Roy and everybody to go in there and start cleaning up and pulling out some of those trees that are in there and making the backside look as nice as the front side. So I've already told Tony and Roy they can go ahead and get started with that.
Library, Ms. Fletcher.
Good evening, everyone. So the library has had a wonderful April. We had 458 guests and visitors come through. We had 39 computer users. So our lab, even though it's a little out of date, is definitely being helpful to plenty of folks. We circulated 282 physical materials from the library and 115 digital ones. And then I have, I'll get to that later, but the events that we've had so far, the Winter 2024 History Talk series concluded with great success. It had a total of 302, I think, people come to all 4 events total. I think the big reason for that success is the emphasis on the local history and that locals got to present it themselves. So I'm very grateful to everybody who was involved in bringing that together and presenting. Let's see, there's a whole slew of events coming up as we get into our next season of events. There's a little handout that was on your chairs for the summer reading program, which includes events for all age groups, to include very little ones, 5 and less, children between 5 and 12, teenagers, and adults. And on the back of that little handout is some of the background programs that are happening as well. So tell your friends, take pictures of the little program, and share them on your social medias. Let's see, the library will be closed for Memorial Day, Monday, the 27th. And then, let's see, and then our next adult reading group will be Friday, June 7th. And then the Friday after that will be a special reading group, like a book discussion with the Panhandle Public Health District. So they're providing a few books to anybody who's interested. It's gonna be this one here, in fact. So I've got a handful of these, limited supplies, about, I think, 10 copies. So if anybody wants to read that and meet with us on the 14th of June for a discussion, there's gonna be a group coming together for that. Otherwise, some of the projects that the library's been working on include the finalization of the floor-to-ceiling inventory that I wanted to do. We actually accomplished, by, when I say we, meaning myself and the wonderful volunteers who came by to chip away at that with me, we achieved 98% accounted for on the inventory. Given the state of where things were with the library when I started, I was expecting about 15% to be unaccounted for, honestly, but it was only 2%. So with that, I'm hoping that the amnesty program of the summer reading program will encourage any straggling, not returned books to find their way back here. Elsewhere, the library is undergoing its reaccreditation process, which is a process that happens every 5 years. Not only does it bring the library and the community clout, but it also provides us the opportunity to be eligible for grants through the state. So those are extremely helpful to us. You'll see in June a survey being distributed asking about community needs. I'm going to make it as widely available as possible to include getting in the post for the whole zip code, and every response makes a world of difference. So I really encourage everyone to take a minute. It's only like a front and back page whenever it comes to you. So, and then lastly, the last project that I'd like to tell you guys about is with the help of the Friends and a handful of volunteers who helped assemble all the furnishings. The children's loft, which is like the pulpit area, has been almost completely refurnished. That includes the browsing bin shelves that you'll see up there with the picture books face out, and squishy furnitures for play on the floor. Board books are easily accessible to very small children, and there's nook benches for people to sit and read together for story time. Also, there's a rocking chair for the parents so that they are comfortable as well. So, and that pretty much concludes my report, unless anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Hospital.
Yeah, attended the hospital board meeting with Shannon Community Hospital. They recently had a change in executive leadership. There's an acting CEO now that's come up from another community. They received a presentation from a consulting company through the Chapman City Council on development potentials for the property that the hospital owns from the old hospital after the old hospital was demolished. The new hospital was built. And they are discussing investing in the development for residential units. A certain portion of them to be retained as recruiting tools for attracting clinical staff in, and the rest being placed on the market for sale. They're working through different development models. They'll have more to say the next the meeting. They are currently in the C-suite, the executive side, down to 2 chief executives. They're looking at going through and having a recruit and hire for filling the other 3 positions, as well as they're tabled a complete staff restructuring of management and department heads for the hospital. Those changes are going to be coming forth over time next year. Pretty much there are strong efficiencies that are going to reduce cost, but increase staffing efficiencies to each department and reduce the demand for traveling clinical staff.
Thank you. Schwan, Mr. Dean.
Thursday night, 7 o'clock, Chadron City Council chambers. We're having a Swan budget meeting. And we will be discussing rate hikes, so anybody that, feels they need to attend should probably be there. That's all I got.
When was that?
Thursday at 7.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
do you have a Villa report?
Item number 6, discuss approve, disapprove bid proposal for Schnell Fire and Ice for pool heater.
So, our special meeting was on that, and, I talked to the head guy from Snell, I forget his name, it's Greg, I think.
Yep.
And he stated, as Scott had said earlier, there should be no reason we can't use the current boiler this year. But it's been 17 years and a new one's gonna be needed. So his recommendation was boilers keep going up in price to purchase a boiler, possibly through them, and if it's through them, they will store it and install it when the pool closes. Because there's pipe work and stuff that needs done also.
I can chime in on that a little bit, guys. So we put out the bids not once but twice for this same situation, and we're running into some issues, which the mayor just talked with me. The bids aren't the same as far as equipment of what's being completed as far as the work. We have two companies, Fire and Ice and Greg Snell out of Gearing. Greg Snell, great guy, outstanding knowledge as far as pool heaters. Smitty, great guy, not very into the pool heaters. He doesn't deal with pool heaters. Okay, Greg Snell put in a full detailed bid of everything that he's seen that needed to be repaired, to include ductwork, piping, headers, and the boiler itself, which needed to be completed. Smitty, he put in a bid just for a replacement broiler, but he did not identify the other items that needed to be repaired or replaced. Okay, my recommendation was to go with Greg Snell, because Greg Snell knows pool heaters. That's what he's been doing for the last 30 years. Smitty, great guy, but he honestly said that pool heaters aren't his thing. He doesn't really understand the pool heaters. He can come, install it, he can do maintenance on it, but outside of that, he doesn't know anything about it. So my recommendation was to go with Greg Snell, but we run into issues with the bid, which the mayor will probably discuss with you guys.
What we have is we have two different bid, in our bid process, we have to have a scope of bid. We can't just randomly say, just give us a bid. We need at least two to make this, is that correct, Adam?
Yeah.
So your recommendation would be to,
based on what I see, evidently there's a more formal or thorough proposal. I just have the one page. It's apples to oranges right now. You need to spec it because there could be some seriously material differences in what you're bidding on or what you're accepting a bid on. I guess at this point, Mayor, I wouldn't award the bid to anybody since you've got an agreement in place for the maintenance and you can get through. I'm not saying that we shouldn't circle back and be ready for this because it needs to happen. We probably need to be a little better, closer specs so then we get apples to apples type proposals.
okay.
I would make the recommendation to table it for 2 weeks and correct the bids and then bring it back to the next city council meeting.
Our clerk recommended that we reject these bids and rebid with proper specs.
And you can still do that in a short amount of time, as long as you've got your boiler running, and I agree, let's reject them, spec it out, and re-go. So then, and Sal's gonna still bid it, if he wants the product.
How long would it take to get the new boiler? Do they have any idea?
It keeps changing. At one time it was 4 weeks, now it could be as far as 8 to 12 weeks. We're running into the actual pool season, and these broilers are getting a lot harder to get a hold of. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it could take 8 to 12 weeks to get one here once we award the bid, so.
And if we,
But
But
your
they're
pool's
not-
gonna be operating.
They're not gonna install it till the
No.
pool's closed anyway, so it doesn't.
but there is a window once the pool shuts
Right,
down, cause
right.
he needs the pool filled still,
Right.
so it has to be in that month
Having it
window.
on hand's not a bad idea, having it ready to go, I think that's a smart thing to do.
And he even mentioned to me the prices continue to go up. I mean, if we wait another 3 months, they're gonna go up you know,
I think this
another
needs to be taken
$500.
care of by the
Yeah, I
city.
discussed that with them also.
I think we should reject these bids. Do I have a motion to reject these bids and then re-advertise with proper specs?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, call roll.
Dean. Norman.
Yes.
Tomassian.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
So moved. Discuss, approve, disapprove the proposal from Stacy Swinney for the work out at the infiltration gallery. Stacy?
I gave you each have a copy of the proposal. And, the items are itemized out. Mobilization, clearing timberland and timber and brush. The load and haul filter using the city loader, on the site at the rodeo grounds. It's an 8-mile round trip. We put it in at $10 a cubic yard, and we estimate we needed 1,000 cubic yards. So I have a subcontractor, Roger Roberts, has agreed to haul all he can, and I have a backup plan myself. So that would be the first thing that we do, is start stockpiling 1,000 yards out there. If we have dirt left over, we could leave it on site for maintenance or whatever. If we run up short and need more, then we're in at $10 a cubic yard delivered from the rodeo grounds. So we got that to negotiate with, or some flexibility there. If we don't need it all, it's not, we don't need all that. The load and haul concrete riprap from different locations, and we got city and Fort Robinson sites. I'm thinking 300 yards is what I put in here. I don't know if we have that much riprap. We need a little leeway on that, so if we don't get 200 yards and we need more, we'll have to find it somewhere. I'd ask for some flexibility on that. And then placement and compacting fill material, I put $9,000 in there. The county, the city would furnish the pipe for the water diversion, the CRP, the white pipe for that. If we have to do something else, we can buy a piece of culvert and to make a diversion with that. I'd like to have the pipe replaced in that so that we can fill dirt underneath it. If we fill dirt under it and then place it, we're gonna be washing the dirt out, so that's not gonna work. Moving the power line is something the cities, when I see a claim for $800 from the power company for moving the pole 20 feet or whatever it is, but it'll be out of the way then. And the city will furnish all the fill material riprap. I just do the hauling of it. And I would ask that you consider appointing a member or your city street guy to kind of monitor and work with me on this, and if our amounts are needing changed, then we can come back to the council. If we have money left over, I'll gladly take it off. I put it in at 29,000, might not take all that. Might be something we need to come back if we get a snitch or something, you know. I'll submit it to the council tonight. Any questions or anything?
So the pipe is just switching out the old pipe
Well,
for water diversion?
there's a white PVC pipe there, and then there's a riser and a flap. We need to take that off and then put PVC pipe on it, but I don't know where to get it, what it is, or even anything. I think your guys might be able to do that. If it is necessary, we can put a piece of steel culvert over that pipe and run it out to the river. If we need 40 feet, I can support that somehow. We can use that as a maybe temporary. Asked Tom about closing the water off so we could change the pipe out. That's a possibility. So there's some unknowns here that we don't know about. I'll work with the city on getting the pipe switched out or whatever we have have to do, sure.
So you've explained kind of what the cost of things are. I'm not sure if any of us know exactly what you're doing. Where is the pipe going? How are you rewriting that? I haven't, me and Tom discussed a while ago, I gave my opinion on it and he kind of ran with it. So I'm not even quite sure what your scope of work is and what you're doing.
We're gonna place and compact, about 1,000 yards of dirt underneath that pipe.
And you're gonna extend it directly in the route that it is now, out to the river?
That's what I recommend because of less resistance on the pipe. I mean, I'd put it the same way. I think it's about 40 feet, will put it right out into the.
And the riprap and concrete and stuff that you're needing, where are you gonna place that? Is that all riverbank or?
No, we looked at a riprap pile at the fort, and then we looked at one up by the sail barn.
Correct.
And we can get material from either one. I guessed, I mean, I estimated 300 cubic yards.
Right.
And I don't know if there's 300 cubic yards available at each one. We want to put clean riprap in, no wire or rebar or.
Yeah, correct.
anything.
Where are you utilizing that material? Bank protection on the river?
Bank. We'll put dirt in a huge hole.
Yep.
And line the river bank with the riprap. As we fill, we put riprap in there.
Okay.
So it's,
And then no retainage or no kind of seat wall at the end of the pipe, it's just gonna daylight onto the
I
riprap?
thought we might put like cattle panels in the riprap.
Okay.
And so it holds somewhat better. I mean, I'll put that in my bid. I mean,
All right.
Is there any questions?
We looked at possible retaining wall along that river bank right there, putting in an actual retainer wall so this doesn't become a problem over and over again.
And the problem with that is you're gonna get involved with the Corps of Engineers, and as soon as, if we don't change anything and fix it, we can do it for $29,000. If we change it and we change the scope of the work, as Chris said a couple of meetings ago, the engineering study is gonna be about 30,000, and it's probably the guesstimate on the project by doing retaining walls over 100.
oh, you know, what retaining walls, you mean driving steel sheet piling and tying that back and doing an actual retaining wall? You're talking about a lot of money. We have, can I change the subject a second? Well, we've got I'm a county bridge inspector, and I inspect bridges and structures and approach waterways and stuff. Down at the sail barn, there's issues down there that we're gonna try to involve the Corps of Engineers on and try to restore the channel of the river back to its original channel. And there's a lot of riprap in there right now. And, you know, we can throw money at that forever, or we can let the Corps of Engineers do it. And that's what I'm kind of promoting on that deal.
When I talked to the Corps of Engineers, and the question was, what would be our requirements or conditions that would require a permit to be issued from them? Their direction to us was, if we don't change the natural flow of the waterway, or we're not adding material into the bed of the waterway, we don't need a permit. If we do that model, we change the plan of the scope of work that might be considered, we're gonna affect the requirement for a permit from the Corps of Engineers.
I've talked to them about that project down there, and they say there's a 3-year waiting list for engineering, and then there's money coming, I mean, that we can get from the Corps of Engineers, but it's years out. So,
You said 2032 would be a possible start date.
okay, by 2032, I would almost guarantee that that approach is gonna be out on that bridge, because the water's gonna take the road out. We need to change, I think that we can change the channel of the river back to the original channel, the flow line. And that's a huge dirt work, and we'll deal with that later, but this is much smaller kind of a thing.
I did visit with George Sears on this, and he went out, George and I went out, and he worked for the city. I don't know, Ed, how long did George work for the city? 30 years. 30 years, and he said it's not a washout. He said it's sunk. He said the rocks that are down are the rocks that they placed on top. So it's just settled down over the years. We're not dealing with, and your compaction ratio, the way I looked at it, is about 4 to 1. Is that?
That'd be plenty. I think,
So the chance of it washing out again is gonna be catastrophic flood. And if that happens, we're in a totally different game.
what's a catastrophic flood in Crawford, Nebraska?
Yeah, 92 is about as good as you get.
So I got,
No guarantee on this is gonna work forever.
Right. Shane?
got a couple questions. One, is this something we should run by them just to make sure everything is kosher? I mean, if we accept this bid.
Yeah.
Oh, this
Bob, yep.
exact.
Yeah,
I'm
based
sorry.
on what we discussed when we did the site assessment and what was already discussed between the mayor and the contractor as their intended scope of work, they said it was fine, as long as their conditions were that we weren't changing the flow rate, the flow direction of the natural waterway, and we weren't adding material to the bed of the waterway.
So you presented them with exactly this, or you
No,
just discussed it
it's just
with
a
them?
discussion.
That's what I'm asking. Should
Well, and
we
that would,
present them
yeah, the whole proposal would have to
specifically
be reviewed by them if
with-
that's what you want.
With this,
I
just
think
to
that's
make
a good
sure
question.
there's nothing
Certainly.
that they're gonna come back and say, hey, you guys need to
Perfect.
talk.
We're not in the channel of the river.
I understand, but by doing work there, there's possibilities stuff.
Okay.
I don't see
So-
disturbing
I'm
the
just,
channel.
I'm asking, yeah.
I'm good with that.
So with the proposal that you've laid out here, without anything catastrophic, what would you estimate the longevity of that being?
Till the first flood, maybe, or maybe
So
years.
just, it'd have to be catastrophic before that you feel that for it to really affect anything?
This looks like something that would work, as long as we don't get fast water. 5 inches of rain at Glen is gonna be tough on the whole deal,
Right.
you know. If we have trouble with this, we're gonna have trouble with a lot of places. But like I say, there's no guarantee, cause I can't see, we've seen damage, crazy damage by 5-inch rain at Glen. We'll try it, do a good job on it, we'll put some, cattle panels is as solid of a mesh as we can get to hold riprap. And, stake it in, wire it in, and we hope it.
So is this being presented as the only option that we're looking at, or the only option that we're entertaining?
It's the only people that I've talked to that had any interest in doing it. I've approached half a dozen people, and everybody's in the 60,000-80,000 range to even come, but.
Well, I don't doubt that this is not gonna get expensive, and I'm, where we have potential, funds that we could use towards this, I don't know that we need to be too worried about specific costs to a certain extent, especially where this is our drinking water. I guess my concern comes back to, I don't want this to be yet another Band-Aid that we have to deal with in the next five years or even less. And I know that we can't, put a finger on something catastrophic coming through, and that's not necessarily what I'm referring to. But I really don't want to be presenting anything that's just gonna be a Band-Aid. I would like to come up with something that has some real longevity to it, whatever it needs to be. And if that's what this is, then that would be ideal. But I guess that's where my question is I wanna make sure that this is something that has the teeth in it to have some longevity, if that's the case, and not just a Band-Aid.
Jokingly, maybe, I'm 75 years old, I'll guarantee it for my life.
So we're looking at least 10 years, 15 years.
Did anybody get a chance to go down to the park and look at the inlet of the park bridge?
We got issues down there.
The waterway inlet
Huge
of the park
issues.
bridge is taking out the east abutment of the park bridge. That would be high water, wouldn't take near as much water at the park as it does this, so, I mean, we got.
The Crawford bridge is gonna go, and the park bridge is gonna go before this does? Is that what you're saying?
I'm thinking.
Fairly
we got-
confident?
We got more
Have you
problems
been
with the
inspecting bridges
than we
for-
do this channel.
How long you been a bridge inspector?
Since 1980.
So pretty much,
Well, I've been a
Expertise
good
is there.
contractor since before that, but,
yeah,
um,
okay.
Sorry, Adam. So he said 29,000, it might be less, it might be more, where it might be more if it would approach that 30, do we have to bid it?
It'd be a change order, so that's unexpected change.
Oh,
You're
just
fine.
wanna make sure.
that's why I
Yeah,
asked
right.
for you to appoint someone to work with me, at least check on me, and check the progress, and we can see where we're at on day to day or every few days of it. I wouldn't have to come back to the council in 2 weeks if we have something come up, but, I mean,
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm kinda confused here because I was out there when you looked at the sail barn bridge that day.
yes.
And I asked that specific question about putting riprap in with fencing, and you said it wouldn't hold, because the water would wash the concrete away. And it's the same river, it's making the same right-hand turn, so why is concrete okay up there? You told us that out here at the sail barn bridge that we had to bring in them great big, rocks and set in there because the river would wash the concrete. So why can we use concrete here for riprap and not great big giant boulders?
Okay, we're talking out here, the channel runs by this project, the riprap's on the side of this project. If you look at the sail barn, the channel changes and you're running channel water, high velocity water into the riprap rather than past it. And channel alignment is everything. Same way with the park bridge. We can straighten the channel and put riprap on both sides of the park bridge and put the channel right under the bridge and probably save that bridge. But sometimes, right now, the erosion under the east abutment of the park bridge is, the water's clear down under it. So, and the river comes down and it hits one side and it hits the other side and swirls right under the east abutment. We need to change the alignment, put it back where it is, and then rip up both sides of the inlet of the park bridge. Right now, it's not, proper alignment has everything to do with riprap.
Well, I've been out to the gallery numerous times and I'm seeing the same swirls and I'm seeing it having to make that corner and it's hitting right where you're proposing to bring the pipe out.
It curves a little bit more to the east, there, right beyond and right at the edge of where we're working.
Yeah.
We're still past the channel. The channel is going past on the side of the project rather than coming and hitting it.
Mr. Smitty, you requested to potentially work with somebody and you mentioned our street supervisor. Is that something you'd be comfortable with?
Oh, absolutely. I would have it no other way.
Do you have access to council members and things?
All the time. You bet.
Sure.
Would we like to
went out there together, we went and looked at riprap together. Are you okay with what we're talking about?
Would we like to entertain a motion on this with the contingency of the Corps of Engineers approval?
I'm not gonna entertain a motion myself because I just got this proposal
Yeah.
10 minutes before the meeting and I haven't had time to digest it, but
Okay. Would you like to table this until next meeting?
I would like to table it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy.
Stacy, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
I just table it till next week. Actually, I'd like to change that to no action on that, then we won't be tied.
Okay.
Item number 8, discuss disapprove proposal for Sucre and Sons for stormwater curb inlets, repairs First and Elm Street and Third and Elm. Jay, do you have anything for us?
No, the bid's pretty much self-explanatory. It's gonna be just remove the existing fillet around the fillet is the corner of the street. And remove that, the bricks deteriorating underneath the street. And, well, one on Third's really bad. The one on First isn't too bad, but they've got a existing lid on the top of that with a manhole incorporated in it, so it's gonna be a little more extensive, but, looks like it's gonna be pretty easy to get done in a fair amount of time.
Super. How far are you out on your work? Completion
A
date?
couple weeks probably.
For a completion date?
Oh, on that?
For the two, by the 4th of July?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Any more discussion?
I thought we agreed that we weren't gonna go ahead with this until after we had a treasurer's report.
I put it on the agenda, not aware of that.
Oh, that's all right. The one you said that's washing the brick out there, that was First Street.
Well, it's not washing it out, the bricks is deteriorating.
I mean, will that make, it's lasted a while, will it last till you get a treasurer's report?
Well, it's lasted, Terry Lemon started hitting me up on this 3 years ago, so it's been going on that long.
We're
Do
not
you,
gonna-
do you see any exposure, liability exposure from the city?
No.
Okay. I'd like to take no action on that item.
Okay,
Item number 9, change order, discuss, disapprove Rhonda's new wave concrete for $1,500.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Moved in second, call roll.
Dean,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes,
Tomaso,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes, thank you, it looks great.
it does.
No action, item number 10. Item number 11, discuss, disapprove seasonal park and cemetery help. Tony Jenkins, $12 an hour.
Scott, did you interview this person?
I did not, I was not even notified that we were, entertaining hiring this individual, so I have no knowledge of the individual. I couldn't tell you anything about them. They may be a great person, they may be a dud, I couldn't tell you. I wasn't involved in the interview or the hiring process.
Was anybody from,
Negative, no one from the park board was, involved in it. No one was notified.
Dan, would you like to comment on this?
We interviewed Tony for the water plant laborer. I felt, she wasn't quite there for what we need in the water plant, but I saw value in her. I thought she'd be a good employee. So I asked Tom what options we had, if we could bring her in as a temporary or what we were. The park position was open, so I asked Tom if we could roll her into that and see how she works out and fits in, run her as a temporary, and we need the people. So I was just following Tom's lead on that. He said he didn't see a problem on it, so we moved forward. Once it got on the agenda, boy, I found out what really should have happened.
And that was my mistake, so if you'd like to withdraw that.
are you confident in his interview?
I'm confident in
or-
Dan's interview. I just,
So are you
in the
okay?
future, I would request that someone from the park board be involved in all interview process when it deals with the pool or the park.
So I'd like to address another thing along those lines. We had 3 interviews that day, had set up. I had those interviews scheduled a week ahead of time. Had got with Tom, wondering procedures, what we do. Asked if we need to reach out to city council, get a city council member in. Tom didn't feel we did, so I wanted to make sure we had enough people in there, so I asked our city clerk to sit in on the interviews with us, just as another person, another legality, and that's how those interviews went, and then Tony came out of those interviews.
It wasn't a plan, it was just a, I think she'll fit type of deal. It wasn't
It was.
any reason to.
I guess my only question on that is every time I've done an interview for, say, lifeguards, for example, I hired all the lifeguards and I brought in a city council member to set in on that hiring process. Why would we not have city council members at these interviews? I mean, to me, it's common sense that we would want our city
I asked
council
a
there.
question and I don't seem to get any guidance. I've asked the question 3 times, what are the policies? I don't have any guidance. I don't know how to answer you. I've asked, for 2 council people, I've asked for boards, I've asked for, and I have no clarification. So what are the rules, Adam?
Depends on what the question is.
What's that?
It's a policy. If the policy of the council is to be on the interviews, then they can be on the interviews. If they agree, then you guys set them up. You know, we're talking about boards. I mean, some boards have more specific rules than others.
I guess my question would be, April, were you even notified that there's an interview happening? Skip, were you? Yeah, that's a problem. That needs to be, the council at least has to be notified that we're interviewing somebody. Okay, if the park board's not notified and the council's not notified, who the hell's being notified? I mean, that's kind of where my justification is. I mean, it may be a great individual. All these people might be great hires, but we're not doing our diligence if we're not involving the board and we're not involving the council. That's what we're here for. The board is here to try to hire the best people that we can, and we make those recommendations to the council. The council sets in, they monitor the interviews, they add questions, they take away questions, whatever it may be. But if we're not doing those diligences, are we really hiring in the correct fashion?
To speak to that a little bit as well, I've, out of my own curiosity, wondered about hiring processes, and I've looked at the personnel manual that I was given when I began working, and I've combed through the ordinances as well, and there's very little to say in terms of procedure in hiring. So I've looked for such documents and also haven't been able to find them.
Yeah,
there's mention of hiring, but not particularly.
Historically, the mayor and the council decided how they want to go about that, and every mayor and council is different on how they want to go about that.
I've noticed that there's different mention, depending on what
There's
city
no specifics that I
board.
can find.
Yeah, they're not there.
Yeah. It'd be nice maybe if there was.
So if you guys would like to put a proposal together and bring it to the council, be awesome. But I don't really feel that I should be chastised when there's no rules.
And I'm not chastising you, I'm just saying that I don't think we're
I
doing the
appreciate
right
it. No, I agree.
diligence. You know,
I agree with you.
If I was hiring for the library, I'd want the library board involved. If I was hiring for the pool, I'd want, the park board involved.
Yeah.
Or the library, or, the golf course, whatever it is, the board needs to be involved, and I believe the council needs to be involved.
I agree. Somebody want to write the proposal for the next?
In this situation, it's still gonna be different, Tom, because that's not what she was interviewing for. I'm not saying that, and the council involvement, that's up to the council and the mayor. I mean, again, mayors and councils can decide that the mayor has authority to make decisions, or vice versa, whatever. But because this wasn't the interview that was done, it wasn't for the park, I'm not sure how we address that anyway. It's a different situation because, and I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just, it was the move over. And at that point, maybe there's some miscommunication. I don't know.
In fairness to everybody, I think the point when we made the decision we want to consider putting her in the park, I should have reached out to the park board and said, hey, we have this person.
Would the right
And
thing-
that would have changed the whole atmosphere of the
I
situation.
totally
And
agree.
I
Take
admitted that
responsibility as
yesterday
well.
to Scott.
Would it be
But-
the right thing to do now is to turn around and go announce keep the position announcement open for the park position and then call her back for interview specifically for that position?
I'm not saying that, because I trust Dan's judgment, okay? I just, in the future, think that we need to be doing it.
Well, in the future, we can have a whole HR manual
I
drafted.
mean, understand that the council and the mayor can decide that the park board doesn't even do the interviews. They can take everybody out of it and say, we're doing it. They haven't done that, but they have the ability to do that, and every council's different. They handle these things different.
And I guess that's kind of where I was going with it, is the council wasn't involved, they didn't even know about it. So that's,
So to me, I don't feel that, that I need to be in an interview because they're not working for me. She's gonna work for Dan, so obviously the direct supervisor needs to be at that interview. If you were interviewing for someone in the office, I'm trusting your judgment because they're working for you. And the appropriate board, if there is one, there's not one for City Hall, but, if there is an appropriate board, they need to, make the recommendation to the council. To me, that's how it should work. That's why we have these boards, to do the legwork and make the recommendations to this council.
No, at this point,
If there's a city council member that's available and they wanna sit in, that, I'm available on Fridays.
I guess at this point, I'm okay with the hire. I have Dan, he feels it's a good hire, I'll go with that, okay?
Alright, so I'll make the motion to hire Tony Jenkins at $12 an hour for the park and cemetery.
Do I have a second?
Awesome.
Moved in second, call roll.
Norman.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Tomasino.
Yes.
Item number 12, approve, disapprove. Water Department, new hire, Edward Blacksheep at $20 per hour. Discussion?
I'll make the motion to approve Edward Blacksheep as a new hire for the water operator.
I'll second.
Moved in second, call roll.
Norman.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Tomasino.
Yes.
Item number 13, discuss, disapprove seasonal golf clubhouse hires and wages. Erica Peterson, $12 per hour. Do I have a motion?
And I did talk with Missy. Missy interviewed. This is who she's presented, and golf board, she said, is aware of it, so. I'll make the motion to approve Erica Peterson at $12 an hour.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call roll.
Norman.
Yes.
Tomasino.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Madison Henshaw, $12 per hour.
And I'll make the motion to approve Madison Henshaw at $12 an hour.
A second?
I'll second.
Moved in second, call roll.
Norman.
Yes.
Tomasino.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Chris Klein, $12 per hour.
And I'll make the motion to approve Chris Klein at $12 per hour.
I'll second.
Moved in second, call roll.
Norman.
Yes.
Tomasino.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Item number 14, discuss recommendations for wage increase for golf maintenance staff. Faye Hughes was hired at $12 per hour. Faye has previous experience and was a previous employee. He would like $13 per hour. Do I have a motion?
I have a question. I thought that 25 cent a year raise was for consecutive service. Am I wrong on that? Roy?
No, you're not.
I'm not positive on that, but I think it's experience is experience. If they skipped a year, then they've got the knowledge. Why would think that you would use that knowledge to give them the extra money?
Did we just hire this individual a couple months ago, or are you just it?
Yeah, because they came to the.
But Connie says something different than what Roy said, right?
Yeah, it was consecutive service. If they skipped a year, then they came back at whatever their last wage was, or whatever, like this year you had to bring everybody in at 12.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is last year didn't Faye make 10? So he's already
Faye
gotten it.
didn't work
Yeah.
out there
Still
last
done.
year.
Oh, he was the year before last?
I think
Maybe.
no, I think it's been, I don't, it hasn't been since
It's
I was.
been
3, 4 years?
probably, no, it's been 2 to 3.
2 to 3.
Has that wage scale been adjusted by the CPI?
Absolutely not.
Should we consider that? Inflationary rate is what it is.
Some of those employees out there don't wanna make too much.
I understand that, because
Yeah.
they're also on.
This
supplement
was
income.
brought by the superintendent of the course. Is who brought this forward with the golf board. Do I have a motion?
I mean, the course looks good. He's good help.
But are you setting a precedent so that
Yeah,
anybody who does good after a month gets another raise?
We'll take no action on that. Fred Cruz from 1375 to 14.
I thought he didn't want it.
This was requested by the superintendent and Fred.
I'll make a motion to increase Fred from 1375 to 14.
I'll second.
Moved in second, call roll.
Norman.
Yes.
Todd
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Item number 15, discuss, approve, disapprove removal of probationary period for Dan Bryan and Kevin Hall. And I can't say enough about either one of them. They're,
Quick
When
question,
did you-
didn't we vote to take Kevin
Your
off?
first
We
meeting.
took, we took Kevin off probation.
Kevin was placed back on probation.
Oh,
He's coming off now. His 90 days are up.
Okay.
alright. I guess I'll make the motion to approve, removal of probationary period for Dan and Kevin.
I'll second that.
Moved in second, call roll.
Norman.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Todd
Yes.
Discuss, approve, obtaining credit card for the library to purchase vendors who will not invoice. This is something we've gotta get up in, our credit rating's gonna start suffering. We've got to start paying bills on time.
I can
I'll
speak
make-
to.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion's been moved, do I have a second?
What's the cap gonna be on this card?
In the past, the librarian just called the clerk. They had, you had everything, they had everything in the basket at wherever, Amazon or wherever. They called the clerk, she ordered it, put it on a city credit card, and it was done.
This is more for, other items too as well, correct?
This is for standard, within budget type of purchases, like books or supplies for programs and that kind of thing. And I got the chance to speak with the clerks about what the precedent has been and, my experience with it so far. And one of the things the clerks pointed out to me is that, handing carts over is fine and good, but if we're, they've mentioned that if there's any chance for a price to change between the two, that it got complicated for them in City Hall.
We always did it the same day in the past, but
What would you like to see as a functional amount?
It doesn't need to be anything big or fancy, like even a few $100s would go a long way.
I think we could go 1,000 pretty simply.
And is that, we're gonna keep it in the form of a credit card to help make sure that if it gets stolen, we can cut it off easy and stuff like that, they can just use their
I
own credit
also
card?
appreciate the safety.
And we will
that-
we will be insured too.
Okay.
That way it's not a debit, it's not tied to anything, it's just a
That's
credit
correct.
card. So,
I'm very
I'll
open.
make a motion to approve a credit card for up to $1,000
I'll second.
limit.
Moved in second, call roll.
Grant.
Yes.
Todd
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Norman.
Yes.
17, discuss, approve the painting bid for Waldo Golf for $5,700. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
So moved, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call roll.
Dean.
Yes.
Norman.
Yes.
Todd
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Item 18, relocation of the power pole at the infiltration gallery.
So you are aware that this requires an electrical contractor as well? right?
NPPD's doing it.
No, you're moving a meter, which is a service, which means that the electrical inspector has to inspect it, which also means that electrical contractor has to do from the meter to the building.
Well, we've already looked at, putting off the, his proposal till,
You wanna just,
we'll just,
we'll take no action on item number 18. Item number 19, proposal for installation of new phone system at City Hall in the amount of $5,872.86. I think our clerk should address this.
Oh, it's just merely an obsolete system. They go down, they, snap, crackle, pop. When you're on the phone, drop calls, my phone will just the speaker phone will just come on. So we've had Mobius out to look, and they are at a point where they don't even sell parts for this system. we'd be doing a public branch exchange system for, I can't remember, if it's 7 to 10 lines to replace what is existing there. I can't speak to the age of the current system.
I went ahead and called Mobius earlier today and just went over all of it because I knew I'd have additional questions. It does sound like the new phones would have quite a few new options. You guys could have voicemail and all that. That was great that it was at no additional monthly cost with those options, so that was encouraging to hear. The phones are obviously quite a bit. How many different stations do we have currently that have the phones?
7.
Where do we have 7?
The basement.
Okay, so there's 4 offices upstairs.
So there's.
So the front desk phones, and then
Oh, there's one.
3 off.
Okay, yes. So
Yes.
5, yeah.
And then the 3.
6 in the back and then the 7th. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I spoke to him. I asked him if he saw any current problems with our current system. I know they are quite old. He did speak to them being quite out of date and hard to manage and difficult to repair if something did happen. I asked him what he had for an opinion on the state of ours. He said that right now they're doing just fine, but that's not to say that something might not happen and they won't necessarily not be able to help us again. So I don't know that I see this as something that needs to be done as an emergency service. I'd really like to see Treasurer's report, and once we have that, then I don't see that this can't be taken care of within the next few months, but I just don't see that it's an emergency issue at this time, so I'd like to hold off on the purchase at this time.
Item 19, take no action. Item number 20.
Hey, Mayor, we
Yes.
did skip number 10 as well.
Tom,
I'll go back.
Yes.
Yes.
Just on, I guess you know, so we're done.
No, go ahead. I'd like to reopen up.
He took no action.
Can we go back, Adam?
You need to go back and open it up, Adam?
Which one are we talking
The phones. The phones.
Yeah, you had a question?
Yeah, if you got
So,
questions, there's no issue.
I was just gonna state, the one day, didn't you guys say the phones were out completely?
Yeah, for 2 hours. We got a hold of Mobius, they checked the phone lines outside of the building to the D-Mark, and, recommended that we go with a new system, so clearly council.
We were down for how long?
Grant.
Last,
Grant has, different information. We were down for, I don't know, a couple hours.
Yeah, he did say that there was one that they were able to get it fixed and he didn't foresee any additional issues, so.
Still no action.
okay, everybody good? Okay, item number 20 was no action. Item number 20, discuss approved easement request for Pete Dunn for 510 Coat Street for a construction of a garage. We went up there today and took a look at that. I don't know, I can't see, I can see both sides. I really can. Dan, would you like to chime in on this any at all?
I can see both sides too. I just had a look at it from an operational standpoint of view. He is set back far enough to where it wouldn't affect any future operations that I could see in the city. So then we'd just have to follow legalities and ordinance and go from there. But
Is that off the red stake mark or the tan stake mark?
the red stake mark is where he wants it. The yellow one is set back right to the easement. That additional, I think it's 5 feet.
Yeah.
Yep, where he butts right up to the bushes. So yellow is within ordinance.
Yeah.
Red is where he wants it.
Now, when you go line of sight down that street, if you set back, would he be in line with everything else down that street, or would it be
He'd be in line with his garage
if he went out the 10 feet?
if he went out. Yes, to the red.
So when you drove down the street, everything would be in line?
Everything would be in line.
And if
On
he
that,
sets it back, you're gonna have
just on that half a block, yeah.
you're gonna have a jog in it.
If
And
it's
no,
set back, it would be a jog.
No jutting out in the alley at all?
Nothing out, he is like 30 feet off that alley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, faces a different.
Yeah,
It's only
he's
the
actually
east
wanting his
side,
vehicle
side
access on
is
the
lot,
east
so
side,
that
cause there's a
thinking
curb.
the alley's on the back side of the lot, then the building's facing this way on the lot that runs east and west.
Adam, would you like to chime in
So
on this?
is correct me, is the proposal for the garage in our right of way currently, as it's proposed?
He
Yes.
wants to put the garage on the right-of-way line, not the 10 feet back.
Right to it and not have the offset.
So not, but
He wants to put it on.
not in the
Not
right of
in
way.
the right-of-way, but on the right-of-way.
No offset.
So,
In other
then we
words,
do circle back to the variance, because I thought we were in the right of way.
it would be, and the only place you can put buildings on the property line is a commercial zone.
Yeah.
So if you allow him to do it, you're gonna have to allow everybody.
Well, and again, thank you for clarification, because it was my understanding it was an encroachment in the right of way, which would be an easement, and then we'd have a whole discussion about whether we should give up any.
And part of the problem is he bought the house from Roy Hahn. Roy Hahn put his garage out too far, because he probably measured off the curb, not the property line. And so, in Pete's defense, he wants to put it somewhere in that similar area, but that means it's going on the property line, or the garage is 1.5 feet off of the property.
So, and you've been involved in the zoning in this town long enough to know, then, are you suggesting that it's a variance issue? Is there undue hardship to meet the standards?
He can put it in where it is, according to our ordinance. He would have to do some dirt work, because actually his neighbor to the north, Swanson, is encroaching on his property line. It looks like it could be up to 12 feet. If you go across the alley and look at the fence line, it's a big distance between where the property line is and where the retaining wall for
He
Swanson.
needs a voltage.
Huh?
He needs a voltage.
Yeah, it does. And I know because the lot slopes to the northeast, the northeast. And he could set it farther back to the west, which would make the lot leveler. I mean, if you go up there and look, it looks like the perfect lot. If you measure for where the street driveway is, and it's kind of an optic illusion because the school uses clear over, the whole thing is paved from the back of the sidewalk clear to the curb. But most people around here assume the curb is the property line, and it is not.
So, as proposed though, I guess, is he gonna be setback and need a variance?
And you don't have a board of adjustment.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, because I was under the assumption we were talking about in the right of way, and that would have been the easement. But we're not talking about an easement now, we're back to talking about a variance,
Yeah.
which, that's fine, and we'll try to work through that. Might have to afford a board of
Well, if
adjustment.
I'm following the ordinances and everything, we can't justify a variance just due to what he can put it in there. And I know he doesn't wanna do that, but it would make it a lot more.
The undue hardship is a high standard, I'm gonna tell you that. It can't be for financial reasons, it's gotta be because the lot is so hurtful that there's no other way to do it. Okay?
How much water damage do you think, if you set that back, how's it gonna affect you, Pete?
The water's gonna go right on Swanson's crop.
And then you're gonna be held liable for
And
that?
then he's gonna, I'll fight that the rest of my life.
Well, and that would probably be considered something as far as undue hardship there. Because he's not building it in a place just because it's cheaper to build it. That's where you got a problem with variances. But if there's an issue with drainage because of the way the lot sits, that's maybe a pretty good argument.
If he moves back 10 feet, he's gonna drown the neighbor.
He could make a little bit smaller building, like 2 foot. I don't know if buildings come in 1 foot increments. I know they don't.
He can take care of the drainage issue pretty easy as well.
Did you look at that lot?
You just have to put dirt up against the north.
We could go underground with your gutter system and pipe it out towards the alley. We can keep it off Swanson as much as possible too.
That alley's about,
alley?
yeah, that alley's about.
I don't know how the dumpster truck gets up and down.
It's,
Yeah,
it's,
there's people already
yeah.
paying to have gravel put in these alleys on their own.
Well, you
The
can
alley's
put it
about
in
4.5
somebody else's
foot
yard and
higher
cause
than the
retaining
building
wall
side.
failure too.
Yeah.
It's about 4.5 foot higher. He would have to get elevation. He would have to bury clear down somewhere down the alley. I thought about that too, but it's
Was there
gonna be a lot of
Is there a manhole system right there?
nothing,
No.
nothing,
Storm sewer?
nothing,
No utilities closed.
none. And I know when you dump that amount of water, it's gonna have to go downhill.
Right.
And if you dump all of it in the alley, you've just created another nightmare.
Well, you could gutter it to the east.
Way up. Lots
lot set up, and doesn't matter which way the building's facing, which way the water's running off, it's still gonna end up in the street and down the alley, 'cause it's direct downhill. So
Yeah,
it
they're-
don't really matter which way the
You're
building
gonna
sits.
dump it, you're gonna cause a problem.
Yeah.
There's gonna be an issue.
Well, Mayor, I guess I would suggest, since it's not an encroachment on in our right of way, it's not an easement issue, that we'll work with Mr. Dunn.
Okay.
And figure out if indeed a variance.
You
is
just bring it
necessary.
back?
Yeah, well, if it's a variance, he's gotta go through a hearing process anyway.
Sure.
If it's something we don't need a variance for, he just needs a building permit and go.
Okay. So how would you like to,
I'd say for right now, there's actually no action because this was about an easement and we don't need that.
okay?
So, isn't there another issue?
Okay,
I'll try to figure.
okay.
We'll take no action on that. Discuss, approve, disapprove building permits approved for planning commission for the following. 140 Lynn Street, Hazel Rima, storage shed installation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve 141 Street.
Second.
Moved in second, call roll.
Norman,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Sebastian,
Yes.
Branch.
Yes.
110 Elm Street, Mallory Morrill, privacy fence.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Moved in second, call roll.
Norman,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Sebastian,
Yes.
Branch.
Yes.
Item number 22, discuss, approve, disapprove membership for Northwest Nebraska Development in the amount of $1,200. Discussion?
I'll give a little insight. I know $1,200 seems a little bit high. I will say that right now we have 5 local businesses that have, had approved funding through NNDC right now. And we've got more that are working with NNDC. We're changing a lot of things over there to make it, to make a lot of our loans, a lot more open than they have been in the past. We just recently went through all of our finance board and reset a bunch of things. So, I would say that opens us up for Crawford even more. I will say that, Shadron pays $40,000 a year in their annual fees, so I think we're fairly lucky that ours is only $1,200 and Dawes County pays even more, so.
You said 5, you've loaned to 5 local businesses?
Yes.
In the last year?
They have loans right now.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve NNDC 1,200, or NND for $1,200.
I'll second.
Moved in second, call roll.
Dean,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Sebastian,
Yes.
Branch.
Yes.
Discuss approve for the proposal for maintenance on the general at the, we're gonna move to the infiltration gallery. The service contract will be $1,905.09. Last time we ran a load test on this was 2017. If we leave this generator set, we might as well take it down to Mr. Grant's and have him scrap it out. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, so what I did is reached out to our current service company that services our 2 stationaries at the 2 plants, and to see if they could wrap that portable right into it and make part of their regular cycle. So that's what this quote reflects. It's 2 visits a year, full amperage test, all electrical test, and full service of the motor and the generator. And just want to secure we have power when we need it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Is there nowhere to keep that inside, or
What's that?
there's nowhere to keep that generator inside anywhere?
There will be.
Oh, okay.
Yep, there's discussions of that.
Okay.
It's gonna live
There will
at the
be.
infiltration gallery out at Fort Robbins, but we're gonna create something for it out there.
Moved in second, call roll.
Norman,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Sebastian,
Yes.
Branch.
Yes.
Discuss, approve, disapprove purpose wastewater training for 3 employees, to be held May 2nd, 2024, Shadron, for the following: Dennis Croats, Dan Bryan, Tim Schultz, and at this time I would like to add our new hire. If Dan feels that it's necessary for him to go, that will be completely at your discretion.
It's a free training, so absolutely.
So you've already been?
I was
Huh?
gonna say May 2nd.
This is May 2nd.
It says May 2nd, you mean June 2nd?
No, it's 22nd. It's next week.
22nd. Typo on item number 4, correction to May 22.
I'll make a motion to send those 3 employees with the addition of Edward Black Sheep.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Is it too late to get him in?
We
No,
don't know.
no,
There might be some
no.
bottleneck.
I talked to Jody this morning, she can enroll them in the morning. We're waiting for approval before we
Call
move
roll.
forward with it.
Dean,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Tomasia,
Yes.
Item number 25, discuss approve proposal for JCI for servicing pumps, replacement of one pump at the wastewater plant in the amount of $13,545. This would be times 2, would be $27,090. Dan, would you like to take this?
Yeah, so this has been a long journey trying to get everything together on these pumps and motors. We've been through 3 different contractors, 2 different suppliers. The Pacific pump is only made by one manufacturer, unfortunately. So we've got substantial lead time on that, 24 weeks, which is a little bit concerning. 2 of the contractors already backed out. They didn't want to have to deal with, they would have had to ship the motor out somewhere else, deal with the pump and parts. So I'm down to JCI. I had them send me a quote for the 3 motors and maintenance or rebuild of the existing ones. It's really hard to pin down what's wrong with them, what the cost is going to be. So I talked to them. I said the best thing I could do is quote me 1 motor, which we know we want. We want to get that on the way right away. While that motor is coming, I'm going to pull out pump 3 and want to send that to them for rebuild. So I'm asking for $13,540 twice because one will be the new pump, and then the service and the rebuild of the second pump will not exceed that. I've talked to them. If they estimate 50% of the cost of a new pump, I'm going to come back to council and say, here's where we're at. Do we want to spend $7 grand, have this rebuilt, or do we want to just replace it with a new one? So in the quote is attached their service, their shop rates, their mobilizations, everything, plus the cost of the pump. So I'm asking for the $13,545 times 2. That's the new pump coming, and the cost to get this one out the door and start getting it serviced.
So the cost could be $13,545 at 50%, let's say 7,000.
It could be.
So
It will not
it's gonna come in at 20,000 and some change, or you're gonna come back
and we're gonna revisit it. And I don't have the 3rd pump on here yet because so much lead time and everything that's going on. I figured let's get the one in, get it serviced, get the new one coming. When we do get to address our 3rd pump, we'll kind of know where we're at after that one's been serviced, rebuilt. We'll kind of have a general idea for price. The contractor's gonna know a little bit more on how that's all gonna flow, so I can come back on pump 3 with a more solid price.
So you're asking for the price of a new pump twice because they're going to look at the one that you're gonna send them.
Correct.
And estimate how much it's gonna cost, and if it exceeds 50%, then we are already approved to just order a new one.
If that's how, yes, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Trust
if we
me.
approve it.
Yep,
times 2.
or I was gonna come back to the council and say, here's right where we're at.
I'd rather
We gotta trust
you
them.
get notification that that pump is gonna cost more than 50%, then you just have the approval right now to order a new one.
I'm good with that, that's perfect.
Would you
I'll
like to
make
put
a
that in
motion.
motion, please?
Yeah, what I just said in a motion.
You wanna go
To
ahead?
approve JCI
Okay.
for $13,545 times 2, and this is at the discretion of our street supervisor, Dan Bryan, whether we're getting 2 new pumps or 1 pump and a rebuild pump.
Yes, sir. And I'll keep everybody in the loop as this happens, so.
Yes.
Ms. Grant, give a second, call roll.
Dean,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Tomasia,
Yes.
Norman,
Yep.
Item 26, approve, disapprove proposal for JCI for the replacement part for the water treatment plant in the amount of $2,350, and this would be times 3.
Now, did
Well,
I
what's-
understand that right, because it's supposed to be for the wastewater treatment? 'Cause it looked different.
That was supposed to be adjusted on the agenda, this is all the water plant.
Oh,
This
okay,
is still
okay.
the water plant.
This is still the
So the
water plant.
valves we're talking now are pressure control pumps for the clay valve for the raw water tank. The pumps that are currently in there and failing are discontinued. So it took us quite a search to find a replacement that would fit in all the housing and everything and match up. They're able to do that. I got all the specs on the new one here. $2,350 a piece. Right out the gate, we need two. Just right out the gate, we need two.
How many are?
If we want to have a replacement pump, then we'd need a third of a total of $7,050.
And over the course of 20 years, we've never needed the replacement, to your knowledge.
Well, there's one that's down and has been down. I don't know how long it's been down, so I'm gonna
Since I've
say
been
we
here.
would have needed a replacement.
So we're already looking at a priority for an item that's down.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's one of the two I'm asking
Right.
for.
Okay.
They sit side by side.
Yeah.
One's the leg, one's the main, and they,
Right.
yep,
The first time I walked in the water plant, you could hear it screaming.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're saying two and a backup?
Two in a backup, yes, $7,050, two in a backup.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to buy three
Yes.
at $7,050.
Yep.
Thank you for your research and all this. Dan.
Moved and seconded, call roll.
And then just
Yes.
while we're on the water and
Reinhardt.
wastewater,
Yes.
Tomassian,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
am I good?
So moved. Dan, do you have something to add?
I just wanted to ask if anybody wanted an update, kind of where things are other than these pumps.
I'd appreciate that.
Okay, at wastewater, we got both the blowers online. We had a failed check valve in the main blower. Once we got it online, we got the VFD tuned to it, got the check valve in now. It's gonna go in early in the week as soon as we can give Dennis some assistance, some heavy pipe work with that. We've got the compressor lines repaired and running now, and starting some interior plant maintenance at the wastewater. We still got two valves to install over there, which we have. Over at the water plant, we've got number 3 offline, disconnected by the electrician and tagged out, so it's ready for removal as probably within the next few days. We'll get that out. Have done pretty extensive ground cleaning at the water plant just to get all the clutter and everything done there, and working on all the rest of the parts, and looking forward to a new person coming in because boy, he's gonna be busy.
Thank you.
Did the lifter pumps get replaced at the sewer plant?
No. So that's on the list. We're working on that. We've got to get that pumped out to get down to that pump and do all the identification on it to be able to do that. So just waiting on Dennis on a couple things, but yep.
With the flow rate, that may be a low flow. Have to do that at a lower flow rate.
You're talking wastewater, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. These pumps just pump out of up into the reed bed.
Mhm.
We've got one functioning pump, but not the other one.
Okay. Item 27, approve, disapprove purchase of a rebuilt transmission from Levi's Auto Recycling in amount of $3,035. Removal and reinstallation by Charlie's Garage in the amount of $1,039.37. It's for the 2013 Dodge pickup. A new reman transmission is $7,200 plus R&R.
Yeah. And this truck will be the primary parks truck. It's a crew cab. Right now, we're sending 3 guys around in 2 pickups.
I'll make a
We're-
motion to approve.
We're doing a shuffle.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, call roll.
Dean,
Yes.
Tomassian,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Grant.
Abstain.
Item number 28, discuss approved reimbursement to Radley Osborne for plumbing service from Julian Plumbing in the amount of $350, from Pipeworks in the amount of $815 for sewer backup caused by city. Dan, would you like to take this?
Yep, so I wasn't aware of the blockage until he came into City Hall, but he came in with videos, pictures, invoices, walked me through the whole scenario. He had a backup in his house, it backed up, he called in a plumber, had it rotor-rooted out, got flow going. A couple days later, big heavier backup. Called in another company, they came in, really rooted it out good, got into our main line, ended up extending 115 feet out from the house, which brought him like 50 feet down our main line. Ran into a pile of bricks in the sewer. year before, which I didn't know, a sewer vault upline had failed. The top of it collapsed in. Dennis cleaned out the debris there, had the whole top rebuilt, but while that was happening, a bunch had washed down the line. Tom was in the office when he came in, and I kind of pulled Tom aside while he was stating his case, and I feel it's our responsibility.
100% responsible. Lowell, do you have any sewer problem?
No, not really.
But
I don't.
Gurgling or anything?
Yeah?
Yes?
I've had water problems since you turned the damn water off 2 years ago.
And I'm right down from him, and I haven't had any problems.
Good, okay. Well, I know there's bricks piled in. The cameras don't lie.
So we're working with Harrison. They've got a jetter down there, and we're trying to get them over to help us jet it out.
Is that gonna be intramural agreement between Harrison and Crawford for that?
Intergovernmental agreement is
Perfect.
what we're trying to do.
Perfect.
Can you come and get that cement that they just threw over? From when they redid that, whoever redid that, nobody knows.
Oh, from the manhole, or? Yeah.
Just laying back there, and I don't think I'm tough enough to lift it up.
Why not?
You can throw it over your shoulder. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve repayment to Randy Osborne.
Second.
Moved and seconded, call roll.
Dean,
Yes.
Tomassian,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes. Tom, I don't know how that might apply to us, Adam said that for insurance might.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. Yeah. Thank you. Approve bills and claims, requisition orders and transfers.
Not quite ready.
We'll take about a 15-minute recess, folks.
Shouldn't need to do that one.
Take a 5-minute recess, folks.
It's locked in the pan.
Okay, folks, I think we'll readjourn. This time I'd like to approve bills, claims, transfers. Do you have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Moved and seconded, call roll.
Dean,
Yes.
Tomassian,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Grant.
Yes?
So moved. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.